Hello, and welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm participating in a YouTube hop called Embossing Folder Fridays, and we do it once a month. This was started by Penny Stone from Team Tiny. So each month we'll pick a theme for the embossing folder, and then we'll make a card from that. So today's theme was clouds. I didn't have any embossing folders with clouds, and I couldn't find any. So then I was reminded by a team member that you could use a stencil to emboss, which I haven't actually tried before. But guess what? I didn't have any stencils with clouds either. Well, I did get a scan and cut machine last fall, so I made a stencil. And then I'm going to color, and if you have an embossing folder, you can color on the plastic with your inks, or you can color your paper before or after you do the embossing. So since I have a stencil, I thought, well, we'll just go ahead and color first. So I'm just taping it down to hold my paper still, and I'm just using Bristol Smooth Cardstock because that works really well for distress inks. And I use my inks on that to color it before I emboss. So I decided to start with Salvaged Patina. I'm not really worried about what rainbow order is. I never remember. And personally, I really don't care. It's a card. It can be what you want. It's your card. So I'm using Salvaged Patina because it's one of my favorite colors. And I'm just using a finger dauber. I only have 3 of those, but they really work really well for small areas like this. And I just happen to have 3 of those because I got them free with some order many years ago. So I was utilizing that. And then for this next one, I didn't have a finger dauber, so I'm using purple, and I'm using shaded lilac. And I'm just using kind of the edge of my pad so that I can get into the small area. Now on the next one, I decided to use pink, and I'm using Kitsch Flamingo because I think that goes really well with the Salvaged Patina. And then for the last area, I'm using yellow, which is Scattered Straw. Now on my rainbow, I only had 4 sections, so also you couldn't have put all the colors of the rainbow anyway, so I just decided which ones I wanted. And then for the clouds, I'm using Tumbled Glass Distress ink. I didn't want it to look real bright since I have pastel colors, but I also didn't want it to look too stormy either. In order to emboss with the stencil, you're going to run it through a die cutting machine, much similar to the embossing folder. However, your sandwich will be different, and how you build your sandwich and what you need to use will be different depending on what type of machine you have. I have a Big Shot Plus, so it'll probably work the same way with all the Big Shot machines. Now, I had bought this package I'm showing you. It comes with a silicone rubber and impression pad. In most cases, for any die cutting machine, you're going to use a silicone pad. So I'm just using that bottom diagram for my sandwich because I really don't know what it's going to do with the stencil because I've never done this before, and it's no diagram for that. So it showed using my red shim, then I put on the stencil with my cardstock on top, the silicone mat, and then the impression pad. So it kind of takes the place of that plate that you normally would use. Then I run it through my die cutting machine. I didn't get any pressure, so I knew it wasn't going to work. Next, I decided to try putting my cutting plate on top like you normally would, and then I run it through again to see if that will work. This time I did get some pressure, so I took my plates out so I can check it out and see what happened. And it did emboss, but it's very minimal. It's hard to see. So I decided to try to build another sandwich, so I put my stencil back in place. For my next sandwich, I'm trying a different shim. So I'm using the green shim. I don't know if that's the same as other Big Shot machines, but that's the one I'm trying, and otherwise I do the same sandwich. I put that one on with my stencil and then my paper. Then I'm going to put it on my silicone mat, then impression pad, and then my cutting plate. That sandwich was too thick, so I took off the cutting plate. I tried again, and then it was too thin. So then I took the cutting plate off and added the extra shim, and that turned out to be the best sandwich for this type of stencil. However, when I took it apart, you can see that it did emboss on the back. You can see it and you can feel it, but it's such a small amount that with this particular stencil, I probably wouldn't bother doing it again. So if you do want to emboss with stencils, I would recommend getting a stencil that has a little bit thicker plastic or harder plastic so that it will leave more of an impression. I planned on putting this card panel on a turquoise card base, so I wanted it to be a little bit smaller than an A2 size so the turquoise would frame my rainbow panel. However, I was thinking it would shrink up when I embossed it, but since it didn't emboss very deep, it really didn't change the size, so I did go ahead and take the card panel off camera and trim it down so that I would have a frame. Next, I'm going to add a sentiment to the front of my card, and I'm going to use my favorite sentiment stamps from Hello Bluebird, and this is Rainbow Script. It has a lot of encouraging words that can go with about any type of card, especially rainbow cards. And I'm just seeing which one I like the best as far as the words and where it'll fit. So I settled on "You are my rainbow on a cloudy day." Now this one you could use as an encouragement card. I ended up using it for a birthday card because I teach preschool and I have a lot of spring birthdays coming up and a couple in the summer that I want to give them their card before they go to kindergarten. Then I just stamp it with my VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink so that it'll show up really well. Next I put my stencil on again, although I had it on the wrong side, so I had to flip it over because I did draw this so it's not symmetrical. And then I used my stencil to put on some Nuvo Glimmer paste just over the rainbow section. And this is Moonstone Glimmer paste, so it's paste with glitter in it. I don't like using glitter, but this way I will do. And I really don't get this out much because I really just don't like glitter, but oh my goodness, this made the rainbow look fantastic. So I will definitely be doing this again. Now the other thing is it also, since I didn't get much depth to my embossing, the glimmer paste did give it some depth and texture. 2 tips for using the glimmer paste. One is try not to use too much because you don't want to put it back in your jar when you're putting it over an ink because it'll often get some of the ink in the glimmer paste and then it'll be discolored. The other tip is wash everything right away because it will dry very hard. It'll be hard to get the glitter off of your stencil if you don't wash it right away. I stamped and colored a couple images from this stamp set called Puddle Play from Hello Bluebird, and I did that with Copic Markers and fussy cut them out. I did that off screen so this video wouldn't be super long. First I arranged my images on the card to see where I want them, and then I used foam squares to pop them up. Since some of these areas on these stamped images are small, I did have to cut some of the foam squares so that they wouldn't be too big. And when I do that, I like to use my Tim Holtz tonic scissors because they are non-stick. So that's great to use anytime you're using a sticky thing like foam squares or tape. I'll list all the products that I use in the description below. These don't cost you anything to use, but it does give me a commission from any sales that the links generate, and that helps support my YouTube channel and website. Now, I did mention this is a hop with Embossing Folder Friday, so to find the other videos, just type in hashtag EFF3, or you can click on the link below of hashtag EFF3, and the other videos will come up, and you'll get some more inspiration for making cloudy themed cards. Finally, I add some Glossy Accents to my umbrellas. If you haven't used that before, it does take quite a while to dry, but I really like the look that it gives. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and I'd really appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. Thank you and have a wonderful day.